Senator Walker.
Thank you, Madam President, for the opportunity to contribute to this very important bill. Before I get into my presentation and speak about my concerns with the bill, permit me, Madam President, to just respond to the Minister of Finance. Very quickly, the acting Prime Minister, One, in 2011, you, based on your own admission just now, these bills were 3/5 majority. Is it a habit of the PNM to support legislation inside the Parliament and then when it's convenient, say, well, you know, you did it too? We are here, and obviously the independent senators are also in disagreement with this bill. This is not a situation where Senator Vera said he was not supporting. Whether it's a no or what, he said what he was not supporting. Let us go on now to Senator Vera. Senator Vera asked specifically about Clause 5. Actually, no, he asked about Clause 3, and I quote, "The Minister may, by order, provide for the waiver of penalties or interest due and payable under this section." The acting Prime Minister conveniently came and spoke about Clause 5, which says the Minister may, by order, prescribe a later date for the payment of contributions under subsection 1. There are two clauses in this bill that gives power to the Minister. And what is going on the other side is they are continuously, conveniently referring only to Clause 5 and saying, hey, well, you know, it's normal. People always extend amnesties. Governments extend amnesties. When we are raising an issue specifically to Clause 3, Section 39B(2), let me repeat it for the benefit of the listening public. The Minister may, by order, provide for the waiver of penalties or interest due and payable under this section. Is the Minister saying that this has something to do with extensions? Because it certainly sounds that this allows the Minister at any point in time to start a whole new amnesty. It certainly sounds like the Minister can go specifically to one company and offer a waiver, and he does not need parliamentary oversight to do this. This is the clause that we are asking about, not an extension. Now that I've dealt with the acting Prime Minister, let me deal with the Minister in the Office of the Attorney General. It's ironic that she quoted Wednesday, February 8th, 2012's Hansard. And she said, I quote from...
Members, please. I know a lot of you all are having fun. I'm happy for you. But can I please hear the Senator as she makes her contribution, and can you all be a little quieter?
Thank you, Madam President. The Minister in the Office of the Attorney General came hot and sweaty to talk about page 471. So I am going to quote page 485 of that same Hansard, Wednesday, February 8th, 2012. I quote, Madam President. So we are still talking about waivers for people who do not comply. It is either we have a culture of one kind or we have a culture of another kind. We cannot talk about increased penalties on documents. People are going to sit there and wait because they know waivers and amnesties will come. permit me, Madam President, to repeat that line, quoted from page 485 of the same Hansard, page 471, quoted from. We cannot talk about increased penalties on documents. People are going to sit there and wait because they know waivers and amnesties will come. That is what has been happening in the recent past. I wonder if the Honourable Minister stopped at page 471, because had she read on to page 485, she would realize that these words were uttered by her very leader, the Honourable Keith Christopher Rowley. The Honourable Keith Christopher Rowley, in 2012, in his typical fashion, opposed any talk of amnesty. So I wonder if the minister in the Office of the Attorney General and the minister in the Ministry of Finance are at odds with their own leader. Because, again, we can see, using Hansard records, that their leader was opposed to waivers. So one talking about winter has come, but the other one saying, no. You don't give amnesty, you don't give waivers. That's not the culture. I think somebody needs to get their house in order. So now that I've dealt with her, we'll move on, Madam President.
Senator Walker, when one is making a reference to a member of this chamber,
my apologies.
One does so with respect, so you are referring to the Honourable Minister, okay?
My apologies, Madam President. Madam President, the minister spoke, the minister in the Ministry of Finance spoke about closing the gap between contributions received and benefits paid out. In typical PNM fashion, the government has sought to blame the citizens. The minister passed all blame on our aging population. But, Madam President, I would like to argue that the inefficiency to collect arrears is really where the blame ought to start. Madam President, the minister spoke about a 2012 amnesty and indicated that some $36 million would have been collected during that amnesty. According to NIB-TT Report 2021, just over $424 million are in arrears. Madam President, in February of this year, let me make sure I am quoting correctly because misinformation is not a thing we do. At a Public Accounts Committee hearing in February 2022, a question was posed to the Executive Director of the NIB as to how much is owed to the government. The Executive Director could not answer. So in essence, the NIB said to that Public Accounts Committee that we do not know how much the government owes. The government being the single largest employer. So it is fair to assume that they probably owe a vast majority. This is the information that's important because the Honourable Minister, the Minister in the Office of the Attorney General, stressed that this government benefits all. She stressed that this was to benefit all citizens. Yet, if we were to dig, will it be our very own government that stands to benefit the most from this amnesty. And so the government has a duty to tell this House how much money they owe and how much they will save. Because, to be honest, if the government paid up their own arrears, maybe we will see that that gap of which they speak will be closed. The Honourable Senator West said, there is clearly money out there and the relevant agencies are not even aware. I found that statement to be very worrisome. Once again, this government does not seem to know what is going on. How can you expect to close the gap if you do not know what monies are out there? So I have to join with Senator Vieira when he says, this is not the way. If a gap has to be closed, we do not need to come to Parliament to do it. What we need to do is conduct more audits. I was watching the acting Prime Minister in the other place on television, and he spoke about some 17,000 audits that were conducted between 2019, 2020, and 2021. And he said, in that little activity, the NIB was able to collect more than $1.3 billion in arrears. He didn't need to come to Parliament for that. $1.3 billion to me sounds like a really good place to close the gap. And that was done through measures that are already here. You go, you do audits, you collect the money. Let's go into this issue of COVID, and the government cares, and the government is aware. I want to use the words of Honourable Senator Minister Manning, where he said, what are his words? They are a government that is aware of challenges. If you were truly aware of challenges, then you would understand, Madam President, right now is not the time. Small, and I want to use a new term, you'll make sure and give me credit, nano enterprise. Because when you look at the definition of an employer, they just need to employ one person. So that means the person who's selling Pylori and has somebody cash in, that is smaller than micro. These are the all that we speak about. And if you think that these types of businesses can come up to scratch with this amnesty at this time, I'm sorry, but you are obviously not aware of the challenges being faced right now. Businesses are now catching their breath. They're trying with everything that they have. They are trying. I would suggest that if this amnesty at all were to take place, maybe take place in another 6 months, when, let's judge the economy, right? We have supply chain issues. We are seeing the cost of goods are increasing. There are a lot of international factors. There are a lot of different things that's going on right now. So yes, we may be opening up, but we are still at a stage where these businesses are struggling. They are trying. And the amnesty doesn't say, well, here's what. You see, if you didn't pay for the last 2 years that we were in COVID, just scrap the whole thing. These businesses still need to come and bring their actual payments, that part of it. They still need to come and bring that to be able to benefit from the waiver of penalties and interest. Madam President, I am suggesting that I mean, yes, that's great, but it's not good enough right now. If a government was truly on the ground, if they were truly aware of the challenges of the, and I'm going to quote the acting Prime Minister from what I heard on television as well, the little people, if they were truly aware of the challenges, they would understand that even to bring their payments up to date would be a mammoth task at this very point in time. So I have to agree with Senator Day Onoroin with her suggestion of incremental payments. So either we defer the waiver on the whole, the amnesty, and we say, look, we're going to bring it at the beginning of next year, get your house together, whatnot and whatnot, or we sit and we treat with this on an individual basis, and we offer some of these businesses who we establish are not just, they're not just delinquent for delinquent's sake, they're genuine. We sit with them and we offer them some sort of payment plan. So maybe instead of them coming and bringing their payments up to date, they can at least bring their file up to date. They can come, they can say, look, this is what my file looks like, this is what I should pay, but as at right now, look what my books look like. This is what my books look like. Can I have some time? Because then we will find that instead of the 10%, maybe it would be 50, 60%. So you're looking at, okay, well, instead of $30 million right away, we may get $10 million at the end of the period, but it will be $10 million every single month for the next 5 years or whatnot, and there would be an overall increase. So I would like those on the other side to really genuinely consider the challenges of that nano enterprise and say, let us waiver even that payment, but I don't want to use the word waiver, sorry, my apologies, but bring the file and let us work something out. We need more of a relationship approach than this punitive way of, well, we're just going to raise the fine. And so I'm going to get to that. I want to get to that now, actually. Section 33(1), where we're now saying, okay, we want to raise the fine from $2,000 to $50,000. Madam President, in Trinidad and Tobago, the hangman is still a thing. And as at yesterday, we were at 260 murders. So it stands to reason that we can raise it from $2,000 to $50,000 to $50 million. If criminals in this country do not believe that we have the political will to enforce the law or to convict, then raising the fines will do very little. And the minister used the word, it will be a strong deterrent. There is no stronger deterrent than the hangman. And it's not deterring anybody from murdering people at a rate. So what would $50,000 do if there is no confidence that the government has the will to prosecute, to enforce the law, to convict? So I'll leave that there. Clause 6, Section 64(3). The minister is asking for more time. For the purpose of the viewing audience, I'm going to read it. Section 64(3) is amended by deleting the words within 12 months.
Senator Walker,
Sure.
I have taken the view that there's no need to read
Sure.
the entire clause.
Not a problem. Not a problem, Madam President. So I'm speaking on Section 64(3), where the minister wants to move from 3 months to 3 years. Madam President, we have cases before the courts for the last 22 years, and they have to start over, and we have nothing coming out of it, and all that's doing is costing the taxpayers billions of dollars in legal fees. If we cannot convict in 22 years, then how are we going to convict in 3 years. How did the minister decide, well, 3 months is not good enough, we want 3 years? How did they come up with that? Madam President, if we were really serious about closing this gap, then we'd be asking for less time. We wouldn't be asking for more time. We would put the resources in the hands of those who need it, and we will say, go and get our money. Go get it. Aggressively pursue our accounts receivables. Madam President, that carries me now to a statement that was said with regards to the new, the genius clause that they've included that makes this waiver, this amnesty, different to the 2012 amnesty, whereby they are encouraging people to register. The acting Prime Minister, in the other place, as I said, I was viewing his contribution on television, and he raised the issue that NIB had concerns that this particular initiative would raise, it opens up opportunity for fraud. Even today, when the Honourable Minister in the Ministry of Finance read the bill and made his contribution, he said that the NIB would need to be vigilant in dealing with any unscrupulous and fraudulent activity during the registration process. Madam President, what I heard from this, what I took from this, we are creating yet another scenario where the NIB will have to work on finding fraud. They will have to be all eyes on, hands on deck sort of approach. If it is that we are barely able to collect what's outstanding now, the 2017 report showed that some 16% of persons are not registered, which is why they've included this clause. So some 4,000 businesses are delinquent in just registering. We've not been able, and that figure came from a 2017 report, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, so that's 5 years. In 5 years, we've not been able to use the tools available, and there are tools available. Senator Vera spoke about one of the major tools available with this particular fund is the fact that people can be personally targeted, their land, their assets, etc. They don't escape that business, what's that word? A bubble. That's not the word. Senator Vera, help me. Corporate veil. And so he knows what I'm speaking about because he spoke about it and he questioned why were we not using that. That was one of the greatest tools that we had. So if in the last 5 years we've not been able to get these 4,000 businesses to even register, how do we propose to be vigilant in a six-month period? We had 5 years to have these 4,000 businesses come one at a time, deal with them, make sure, investigate, do everything. Now we're asking for the NIB to monitor them strictly, vigorously, vigilantly, where we're expecting them to all come at once in a 6-month period. I just don't see it, Madam President, as making any sense. Madam President, I want to make sure that I do not repeat, because I know that a lot was raised before I came. I do support the call for a special Joint Select Committee. I do support the call for the publications of the list of persons who benefit. And of course, I spoke about it. Is the government going to benefit? How much is the government our number one delinquent payer? And yes, will this benefit the hands of a few rather than the all? If someone is getting a benefit from the state, and I understand that people have rights to privacy, but once someone breaks the law, once someone is going to benefit after breaking the law, I think that right to privacy can be waived. Just like the penalties and the interest are going to be waived, I think their right to privacy can be waived. The government, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago have a right to know who are being delinquent, because that is taking away money from us. That's what it is, and we need to know it. So I do support that call that the list must be made public. Madam President, I believe that is it for me. Everything else will be repetition, and I would hate to do that. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Minister